Yeah.
Hello guys.
Hello. Hi
yeah,
guys.
I'm here today with Liam, a professional photographer from Taunton.
Yep.
Nice to meet you, Liam.
Nice to meet you, Gabby. Yeah, the first time we've met, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So let's talk about yourself. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm Liam. I'm from Taunton, and I started doing photography probably about 10 years ago or something. So I'm 31 now, and then when I finished university, I used to work in like outdoor education, taking kids out and about. And then so I started doing like wildlife and landscape photography holidays for adults and different people, and started doing like tuition courses and things like that. And then from there kind of got into teaching in schools. So now I teach in a secondary school, and I teach photography in a secondary school. And then from that kind of movement, I kind of swapped between landscapes and wildlife and moved more into like portraits, really, because in the southwest there's more people than there are exciting birds and stuff. So moved into shooting people, and I've been doing that probably portraits maybe for 3 years now properly. Yeah, so before that I was doing mainly wildlife and landscape stuff, and now I do mainly portraits.
Which one do you like the most?
I don't know, I like portraits is good because it's nice to meet new people.
Yeah.
Like today I've had 2 shoots, and then obviously meeting you guys and stuff is really cool. But I'm quite into wildlife and stuff, so I think if I could pursue something, I'd probably do that. But I think I think portraits is good. It's good fun, and like I say, it's been really good over the years. I've met so many people, and over this lockdown, I've done so many, like I've done these FaceTime shoots and loads of weird things. So I've just met loads of cool people that you never meet otherwise. So I think that's the good thing about portrait photography, is that you just meet people that you never would normally meet otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's quite good. Yeah.
Do you do any selfies?
No, I don't. No, I've done a few, only for my website. So yeah, if you go on my website, there's a couple of that I've had to take for that. Yeah, but I haven't done anything more than that. Maybe I should.
Website outside of Instagram?
Yeah, just shootwithliam.com. Yeah,
Right.
nice.
We'll put it there.
Yeah, that's it. Put it underneath the bottom. But yeah, so that's my website, and I'm currently kind of redoing it a bit because I do it all myself. So I need to get better at. Yeah, it's alright, but it's not as. Do you know what I mean? Some people, as you go on, and it just looks amazing. So I need to kind of up my game in terms of my website, but I'm normally too busy with editing and stuff, so it gets a bit mad. But
What do you use for editing?
I use Photoshop and Lightroom. Yeah, and
which one do you like?
I like them both. I think like I basically import everything into Lightroom, do like little adjustments in Lightroom, then put it into Photoshop and do all the retouching stuff, and then put it back into Lightroom, and then do all the color grading.
Yeah, I think the color grading is really nice on Lightroom.
Yeah.
But then you can do more stuff in Photoshop.
Exactly. I think I personally agree. I think Lightroom has more. People will disagree, but I actually think your color.
Easier, I think.
Yeah, and the colours are just so much better. I don't know. I just really pops in Lightroom, so I just do that, and then I export it from Lightroom. So yeah, so it's good. But I've kind of got really. I'll talk you through my workflow at some point. Like it's got a lot easier now. I've got Google, so I use Google Drive a lot, and I've got it synced to my computer. So if you think like today, I've done, what time are we on now? It's like 20 past 6. I've done 2 2-hour photo shoots, and they've already got all of their unedited photos and like 5 edits, like really rough edits. So I've got really good at basically like importing into Lightroom, then when it's in Lightroom, transferring it to a Google Drive folder, which is like on, which is synced to the computer. So then it literally, while they're uploading, you can just send someone a link and they've got all their. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
So I've got good at that. So now,
wow,
it gets better.
That's nice and fast.
Yeah. So it just means that you don't have to worry too much about. I think that's the biggest thing as a portrait photographer is one, figuring out what you want to give people in terms of images. But at the moment, I just give all the unedited images. It's like a reduced JPEG if I think I'm not going to do anything else with them, and then they can pick what they want, and then I just edit them up. So,
Do you use presets or you?
I do have a couple of presets. Yeah, I think it's quite. So what I normally do is edit up. So like today with the ones I was showing you earlier, I'll literally edit up maybe 2 or 3 straight away from a shoot, just using a couple of presets. So I'll have 2 pictures, but I'll do them in like 5 or 6 different ways, and then send them over, and then get someone to pick. Because I think when I first started doing portraits like professionally, I spent hours and hours and hours. You edit like 25, 30 pictures, you give them all over, and you think you're doing a great job, and then you give these 30 pictures over, and then they go, oh, I don't really like that one. Do you know what I mean? I like that one instead. And then you're like, oh, so you end up to. I find the best thing to do in terms of the clients and stuff is to let them do all the work of picking them, because there's no point you picking the shots
How
that
many
they
pictures
want.
do you take in a photo shoot?
Probably about, so yeah, in 2 hours maybe 1,300, something like that. Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah.
And I always do 3 outfit changes, or at least 2. So then they have like 2 different like kind of looks.
It's always better to do more pictures when you can.
Yeah, and it's hard like with the new camera, because I upgraded my camera maybe like a month ago.
What camera do you use now?
I've got the Canon EOS R, so it's like the new, like I say the new, we don't know when this is going to go out, like there might be a new one by that point, the R5 or whatever. But yeah, the Canon EOS R, which is like a mirrorless camera, and since getting that, because it's autofocus and everything is like top notch, actually I take a lot less than I used to with my 60. So when I use my 6D, I used to literally overshoot all the time because sun wouldn't be in focus, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Whereas like this now, I mean, it's incapable of taking an out of focus shot. I say that. Canon can sponsor this video. But yeah, it's true. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah.
It's true. So I think that's one thing I would say. I think it's really difficult when you first start out in terms of money, because everything costs a lot of money and stuff. But actually, inevitably, if you do invest in it, it does make your life so much easier, and the photo quality is better. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I think I would say it's really important to, I would rather just have one nice setup than I used to have 3 cameras, and then now I just
So do
have
you
one.
want to buy more?
Yeah, I would, yeah. But I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't really think. What would I buy? I'd probably buy like a Canon M50 or something.
Oh yeah.
To have like a small one, like which has just got, because the EFM lenses are really good. So I'd probably do something like that. And
That's a good camera for vlogging actually.
It is
I was
good.
thinking to buy that.
Yeah, it is really good. Yeah, it's really good, and the picture quality is really good. And if you get like, they've got a 15 to 45 lens, I think, which is really nice. So, and I used to have the Canon EOS M, which was like their first mirrorless, and I love that. It was really cool, but it didn't have a viewfinder, and that's what I
So
think.
you've always been with Canon.
Yeah. So I teach the kids, like at school we have Nikon, so we use a lot of Nikon stuff, or Nikon or whatever, depending on where you're from. But I think, yeah,
Nikon.
Canon's like my go-to really. But I just think that, I know I'm biased, but the colours are better. Like they are. Like I know people will dispute that till the cows come home, but I
Some
think
people like more like Sony.
yeah,
maybe for the
Sony
video
colours are good,
quality,
and like I say, like things like the Fujifilm, so the Fuji and the Olympus cameras, like the new ones, are just insane. Like I think everything now, if you get a modern camera, like they're all
or
good.
even phones, like iPhones. So
Yeah, even like the iPhone 11 Pro, like you might as well just get that and do
They
do
have
photo
amazing
shoots.
quality now.
I did that today, so I did a shoot here actually, and then at the end, obviously, they said, oh, can you get a photo of us together on their phone? So I literally took the photo. I've never had an iPhone 11 Pro. Pressed on it, and like the picture in portrait mode was insane. It was really good. I was like, it wasn't the same as a professional camera, obviously, but it was, yeah, it's pretty good. Battery-wise, I'm pretty good. Like I've got 3 batteries. So again, I've got like a whole case of SD cards. So I've got 16. I have 16 SD cards, and I've got 3 batteries. And if you think like today, I've done 2 shoots already, so 4 hours of shooting, and I've had the same battery in, which is mental. So I've still got 2 full batteries in my bag, but I'm quite prepared like that, because I always worry. I'm like, oh god, what if the battery runs out? So
Canon battery are like really good ones.
yeah.
It lasts me like 5-6 hours.
Yeah. It's really good. So that's what I try and do. So battery wise, I haven't had anything like that. But yeah, and then the people just like, I think another one, I did a dance shoot in like an underpass in Morrison's.
Wow.
So it was like we were doing that, and then so there was the 2 dancers and their parents were there. So obviously the 2 parents and these 2 dancers, and they were dancing away. And then this lady just kind of walked through the underpass bit, and then just stopped. And then she went, like, looked at us, and it was all really awkward. And I went, "You okay?" And she went, "Can I take a photo of this?" And I was like, "Why? Do you know what I mean? You're like, why do you need to take a photo of it?" And she went, "Well, because my husband will never believe what I've just seen." And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." Do you know what I mean? So then she took a photo and stuff, and she was like, "Can you keep shooting?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we did a bit of that. That was a bit weird. And then you get people like asking whether you want a photo with the model often as well, because I think they just obviously assume maybe you're like a couple or something. Yeah. So people go, "Do you want a photo together?" And you're like, "No, not really." Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so that sort of stuff's a bit weird. Kind of a balance between how much you want to do. And I think, because I keep thinking about doing like a video on, because I've got a YouTube channel that I need to update. Yeah.
Nice.
But I haven't put anything on it for ages. But I was thinking, I always want to do a video on like how much it actually costs. So because people, obviously photography seems to come across quite expensive, but I think people forget that like you know, so if you charge £1,000 for a wedding, then you're there for like, let's say 10 hours, so that's basically £100 an hour, but then you've got to edit them all and go through them all, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you work it
It's
out,
like
I mean,
day.
yeah, so like a portrait shoot, if you charge, you know, £85 and you do 2 hours, then people think, right, well, that's £45 an hour, that sounds like a lot, but then it takes you 2 hours to upload them and get them all ready to go, and then you have to come back and do you know what I mean? So it's not I reckon, and it's not consistent, it's not like you have, you know, 8 hours worth of photography work every day, is it? So I think people forget that, like, you know, 1 week you might have 3, 1 week you might have, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus you have like professional gear.
Yeah, and the car,
stuff,
it costs a lot of money, and like it break, like that's the thing. It's like with your car, isn't it? You get paid for your mileage and stuff at work because eventually your car will need some work. Whereas obviously if you're using like a £2,000 camera, then eventually it's going to break and you're going to have to buy another one. So do you know what I mean? So I think that side of things is what people kind of forget. Like the battery thing's mad. They're 60 quid each. Like the Canon, the Canon batteries, which is crazy. So. You know, I don't know, but I've always been thinking, I've really wanted to do that for a while, like not like a dig or anything, just like do so people kind of understand the real process behind stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a mix. Yeah. But I think there is a balance. I think the problem is, it's like if I started doing sports stuff, I don't know where I'd post it really. And I always think unless you're going to show people a photo, there's often no point taking them, so unless people are going to see them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's quite nice to showcase that. But yeah, so it's good. But it's been a weird one, like I say, just kind of this journey, isn't it, of like figuring out what your kind of niche is, and then, I don't know, there's a horrible thing with Instagram where you have to have that consistent look.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's horrible, because obviously, again, so you look and then you go from like, oh, I'll do dark stuff, do you know what I mean? I'll make it all dark and ominous, and then you're like, now I'll make it all bright and beautiful, and then, so I think what I've learnt over the last couple of years especially is it is definitely worth trying to have like one distinct kind of look or something, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do
Because
you have like a style?
I think I try and like do like now I really like matte kind of colours and stuff.
I saw your
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah.
All of them are like a bit like washed. Like
Yeah.
Not too much color, but it looks nice.
Yeah, but I think again it's hard because everyone likes something different, and in terms of like the client, the person I'm taking the photos of, they get them. So what I often do as well is like they say they want it to be like a bright glossy magazine style image, and then so you look at like on Instagram of the people that have uploaded my photos compared to the ones that I upload of them, they end up being different because they want it to be like, you know, bright on the beach, all sunny, whereas I'm like, oh, I'm going to make it a bit matte, and do you know what I mean? So but again, I think that's kind of what you like, and I would just say, like, I think you spend hours, I mean you spend hours looking at what other people do and judging yourself against them and loads of stuff, and really all you need to do is think, well, do I like it, do you know what I mean? Like, because I think that's another thing with like skin retouching, like some people spend like ages, and don't get me wrong, if you're really good at making, you know, those portraits that look almost cartoonesque, do you know what I mean? That's great, and if you want to spend 8 hours doing that, that's fun. Like, I don't think that's bad, and I love seeing them, but actually for me, that's not, you know, I would rather try and keep them as natural as possible if I can, and I do skin retouching, but I'm trying to move away from it being like, you know, completely edited images now if I can, and I just think, because I think it's important that we kind of, do you know what I mean? And it's different if it's like an art piece. I think some people have portraits which are like an art piece, which obviously are like, do you know what I mean? Like you look and you see the before and afters, and you're like, wow, do you know what I mean?
Like
and
it looks like painting.
Yeah. And I think that's, but it's again, that's your need. And I used to try and do that because you think that's what everyone wants. Do you know what I mean? So like, oh, I'll try and do that, and I'll spend 6 hours trying to edit this to be like this person. But then actually, like most of my photos, actually are just random people that have a photo shoot. You know, it's not like a, you know, potential, like some people are, but most people aren't professional models. They just want some photos. So actually, really, do they need to be, and they don't want that either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's quite subjective. Everybody likes.
Yeah, everyone wants something different. And I've had it loads, like where you send, I spent ages, and you send over this edit that you're really proud of, and you go, oh, it's so good, and then they go, oh, I prefer the natural one. Do you know what I mean? Or I prefer the ones you just sent over straight away. You're like, okay.
Yeah, people just want normal photos now.
Yeah.
Nothing spicy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think it's a hard balance, really, between that. But I don't know.
Do you know other professional photographers from Taunton? Oh,
I know a few. Yeah, a couple.
Have some friends.
Yeah, well, photographers never seem to have friends because it's like, because we're all like a solitary person that lives in a cave or something. I think. Do you ever find that? I find it really difficult. Like, you message people and I think it would be really cool to do some like
Yeah, I
Taunton
did
meetups.
message like 10 photographers, but you were the only one who
Yeah,
responded.
no one does.
Really.
And it's really weird, like if you say to people like, you know, I think everyone's really secretive about their editing and do you know what I mean? They don't
Yeah.
want to share that side of things, which I get, like because people spend a lot of time doing things. But I do
Yeah,
find
that's
it really like, it's funny when you say, you know, it's even like if you shoot with someone that someone else has shot with, like you do a shoot, like you're just taking photos, people are like, oh, you're taking photos with this person. You're like, it's there, like they can, do you know what I mean? It's not like an exclusive thing. I think some people just take it a bit too seriously, and I also think that some people are obviously, like you say, really hardworking, but often a bit too bothered about like the politics of stuff really sometimes. But I think that's just Instagram in general, and you know, people just get a bit weird about things like that.
Well, I like to make friends. So
Yeah, I think it's good. Like, it's important,
Yeah, it
and
is.
actually then you can learn from other people.
That's
And I
right.
think it's so like there's a guy called Rich Wiltshire who I'll show you his Instagram and stuff. He's really good, like he's amazing. And I met up with him. He lives in Bridgewater, and I've met up with him. I haven't seen him for ages, but when I met up with him and stuff, just to go through, you know, it's just amazing to see. He's got loads of kit. He's got like drones. Do you know what I mean? He's like he uses lots of flash, but his photos are just like super crisp, and it's just nice to have that chat with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like I say, there's a couple of other people that I've been talking to throughout the lockdown, but obviously haven't been able to meet up because of obviously people not being able to see each other and stuff. So I don't know, but yeah, it's weird. It's a weird, like when you say, have you got any friends? Because I get that all the time. Everyone I shoot with goes, they go, do you know anyone else that would be? And I'm like, well, I know their photos, but every time I try and talk to them, they don't seem to respond. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's that annoying thing, isn't it, on Instagram where it says seen as well. So like you message someone and it says they've seen it. You're
I
like,
hate that.
yeah, you're like, you've seen it, but yeah, why? Like, I don't know. So if there's any photographers out there in Taunton or Somerset that
Reach
would
out
like,
to us.
yeah, reach out to us if you want to be friends. We can be friends. Like, do you know what I mean? Doesn't have to be like a professional thing.
Yeah,
just
we can
like
do
having
like a
chill.
circle of photographers.
Yeah, I thought it'd be really nice to do like a Southwest, because you know they have like the Bristol shooters and Cardiff shooters and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be really nice to do like a Taunton, like a
Taunton
group.
shooters.
Yeah, or like Somerset or something, because I think we kind of miss out, because Taunton, for those of you that don't know, is between Bristol, which is an epic city, and then
I love Bristol.
there's Exeter, which is equally as nice. Like Exeter's historic and nice as well, and because Taunton's like dead in the middle, I think we kind of miss out. So it's kind of like you can go to Bristol and there'll be loads of photographers and loads of events and networking and cool things, or you can go to Exeter and it's like the same, and then in Taunton in the middle we just get stuck with like not much, is there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Nice like landscapes and stuff, but as in terms of that social network, I think we kind of miss out. And I reckon there's probably quite a lot of people that are around that would do it, like all
Do
the
you
time.
have like the same clients in summertime and wintertime, or?
Yeah, real mix.
Do
Some
they-
people I do a couple of shoots with. So I've done like multiple, like obviously some people it's like brand new. So like this week I've got 14 shoots booked, and I've got like, I don't know how many have I got that are new. Quite a few new people, which is cool. But mainly it's kind of friends through friends and stuff. So you kind of get people that are like, you know, you'll do a shoot with someone and then their photos will go on Instagram
yeah.
and then they'll say, oh, you did whoever shoot, do you know what I mean? And then like I say, recently I've been branching out. So I did a shoot with like a mom and her 6-year-old the other day, which again I used to do in the past, but I just didn't really pursue it. So I'm going to try and do more of that sort of family portrait stuff. And like, yeah, pets. I did quite a bit of pets in the past. And that's harder than you think. Like people think it's easy, but it's not.
No, it's not.
And actually
Dogs
shooting with a
and cats.
6-year-old isn't easy either. Like that was quite, you know, she was really good, but it's quite a hard thing to do, I think people get it's like newborn photography. People think it's literally just shoving a baby in a basket and taking a picture, but it's really hard, do you know what I mean, to get like a nice image. So yeah, but I don't know, for me I think working with adults and working on, I always work on location somewhere, and I just think that's from my past of like being a landscape person. Landscape and wildlife I really enjoy.
Have you sold
Being
any
out.
of your pictures?
I've got a couple of prints. I used to sell prints, like not like loads, but I sold a few prints.
That's good.
Yeah, which is good. And now it's basically like my mother-in-law just buys them on what's it called, on Vistaprint or something,
Yeah.
and has them. Yeah, so a couple of people, I've sold them. And then I've done, and I won like a competition on Instagram recently. Like that was cool, like an anxiety competition. Had to depict it in a picture. And yeah, that was really cool. I'll have to show you that at some
That's
point.
cool.
Yeah, that was good. So I'm trying to do that. And the editing competitions are really good. Like there's something called free-for-alls, like so like an FFA. I don't know if you've heard of an FFA. So I'm running two at the moment, so you can get involved. So I did two, but yeah, one runs out in what we're on now. Yeah, 2 days time, so that'll probably be a bit of a rush. And then the other one is runs out on the 15th of July, and basically it's like a collective group of photographers all put their raw files in a cloud folder, and then everyone can download it and edit them, and to win prizes, obviously. So yeah, so the in UK FFA, which is on Instagram at the moment, is obviously like me. So it's Indian photographers and the UK. So there's we've got 9 of us. There's 9 photographers. There's like 110 raw files.
Only 9. I thought it's gonna be like hundreds of thousands. of photographers.
No. It's like 9 if you put all your images in, and then obviously you get like lots of people like submitting them and stuff as edits and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so there's 9 of us that are doing that, and then there's 6 of us that are doing the transatlantic FFA. So that's 3 American photographers and 3 UK photographers, and we've all put our pictures into like a thing.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good. Yeah,
it's
worth doing. Yeah, and that's really fun because you can just spend all that time editing your photo. Like, it's not your photo, so you can often be more creative with it because it's different, isn't it? Like, you didn't take it. And then obviously the prizes and stuff are quite good, so if you can win an FFA, it's quite good. There's a Nikon one which I was really like hoping that my edits aren't that good to win, but I tried. I thought I did alright, and then when the winners were announced, I was like, fair enough. But yeah, so I did a couple of those because it was like you won a Nikon D750 or something, and then so it's basically worked out like, and then loads of kit and stuff. So it's probably like, 3-4 grand worth.
Who's deciding who's the winner?
So the photographers, so the Nikon one was like really big photographers. So like all the photographers had over 50,000 followers and stuff. So they basically show. So like the in UK FFA that I'm doing, which I think we've got 4 Manfrotto tripods and 5 Vanguard bags, like camera bags to give away, which are like sponsored by the company. I don't know if they're sponsored by Manfrotto and Vanguard, but we found a company anyway that was giving us some free stuff to give away. So so we've got 9. There's 9 photographers. There's 9 prizes. So then when I get one that I think looks really cool, you just kind of save it, and then obviously I'll pick my winner. I'll be like, that's the person that did the best edit of one of my pictures. Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. And I think and like you say, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. Like the only way to do like full time really is to start doing weddings.
Yeah.
I think if you do weddings, you could easily, do you know what I mean? Because it just pays like a good whack. Yeah. One thing. Yeah.
What do you think you have to do to move from like a beginner to a professional photographer?
I think you need to
What's the difference?
not focus. I know when I say focus on the gear, I think having a nice camera helps, obviously. But I think the main thing is to get used to the settings. Obviously, you should always shoot in manual. Personally, I think that's really important. Other people disagree, but personally, like, I only ever shoot in manual for any, not if I was on holiday taking a picture. You know what I mean? I might put it in auto, but yeah, mainly I just always shooting in manual. Getting used to like thinking more about thinking more about the image instead of just taking it straight off. Yeah. I think what you find, lots of people just, you snap away. So so I've got 4 gigabytes at home of like my old camera, probably more than that actually, like old shoots, and when I look at them, there's like 800-900 of the pictures are just like, they're just not very good. Do you know what I mean? And it's because you're not really thinking about it, like you say, 1, composition, 2, I think especially portraits wise, it's all about giving someone a little bit of direction, and that's really scary at the beginning. Like, I know that I like found it really awkward because you're saying, oh god, like, how do I tell people? Do you know what I mean? But quite frankly, like if you're looking through the camera and you know that if someone's head was like slightly to the left, or do you know what I mean, their legs weren't like just like, they weren't like frontally sitting forward, so you just say like, just move your left shoulder back, or can you just cross your legs for me, or like, put your left leg over your right leg, or maybe a hand on your hip, or like getting an angle in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest learning curve for me personally, like getting better photos, is because the people that are doing the photos don't necessarily, unless you're shooting with a professional model all the time, most people won't know how to pose. And I think that's like today at the shoots, like if you look at the ones from today, that would have just been like, for example, the couple, I did one with a couple, and you might have a couple just standing there, do you know what I mean? Or they might have their arm around them or something. But then to get that kind of intimate look, you need to say like, put your head on your shoulder, or put your hand on the lower back, or do you know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest difference, I think, personally, with portraits is giving people direction and not worrying about it. Like, and obviously you don't have to force someone to do something, you just suggest it, and normally people are like, do you know what I mean? They're quite into it.
Yeah.
But I find that I've got like a little like intro spiel really. So whenever I do a portrait shoot with like a new person, I always give a little spiel about. So I'll say, have you done a shoot before? And then they say no, and then I'll say, or they might say yes, but then normally they say no. And if they say no, I'll say to them, so like, you know, if we're doing headshots, it's just about like subtle movements with your head. So you want to make sure you're not straight on, just slightly to the left or chin up, or do you know what I mean? But really subtle movements. And then I say in any full body stuff, it's all about angles. So you want to make sure you've got like angle in your leg, pointed toe, you know, hand behind your head, so you've got an angle there. Like if you're twisting your hips that way, then you want your shoulders to kind of come back the other way. Do you see what I mean? So you kind of give a little bit of that, and that's what I always do at the beginning. Like, because I'm not a pinnacle of a man, but I'll give a little kind of, do you know what I mean? Just to say, so then they can see, and then so when they're standing by a tree, I'll be like, right, so put your left leg up against the tree, so you've got a triangle, and then we're going to get your opposite hand. Do you know what I mean? But that makes a huge difference, and one it's more comforting for the person you're taking photos of, because I think they think you know what you're doing, which is nice. Do you know what I mean? And two, like you obviously end up getting better pictures then. Like today, so you've got two people next to each other, and I'm just like, I'm like thinking like, well, your heads are like, do you know what I mean? They're just too close, so then you just go, if you just move your head a little bit, or you lower down, do you see what I mean? And otherwise you just have hundreds of photos of them covering their head, or like, you know, hair is a big one. Someone's got loads of hair in their face, and you're like snapping away, and I used to be really bad at it. You'd be like snap, 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 and then you'd either spend hours photoshopping out rogue hairs, or you know,
some people have like they like more the left side or the
right side, exactly. Exactly. And it's worth finding out, because if someone says, so like today, the first shoot I did was I was taking different angles, and then I'll literally say, right, well, which ones do you like? And they're like, I don't like any from the side, like at all, like literally just one straight on. And you're like, okay, but then there's literally no point. There's no point if you're taking hundreds of photos in an angle that someone's not going to be happy with. But you don't find that out without talking to them, and that's what I think happened in the past. I think you just spend, I think with, like you say, in terms of being an amateur photographer, more it's people just spending hours taking bad photos, but and not one, maybe not even being able to see that they're necessarily bad, but also knowing, like, not giving any directional help to that person. I think it's like quite do you know what I mean? I think that's a really big thing. And once you learn how to do that, it doesn't really matter what camera you've got at all, because if you're giving direction to someone, like with an iPhone, like, you know, some parents are just terrible at taking, aren't they? Because of the framing, like they're just terrible. And you look and it's like, this is my holiday thing, and it's like, you know. And I also think, so the main things in differences between amateur photography and being a bit better, I wouldn't say like I'm pro by any means, but I think like there's things I definitely take into account. So that's like, one is aperture, to make sure that like I'm shooting as narrow, like as wide open as possible just with portraits, so we just stick on portraits. Two is giving direction to people and actually having communication with them. And then the third one I'd say is really, really important. When I say framing, I don't mean like the shape, like what it looks like, but so many people don't take straight photos. And what you'll do is, if you start, what I found, again, you might take a really nice portrait of you now, and it's literally, I've got like that much crop distance in the photo, do you know what I mean? But because it's slightly off, then actually when you go to straighten it, like your head will be, do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. So I think that's really important. So I always now try, it's really important to get your subject in frame as much as possible, because that's who you're shooting. So it doesn't really matter about the, you know, the tree in the background or the landscape, unless you're trying to go for a big vista. So I think it's important to crop in, but the danger with cropping in too much, if you don't take a straight photos, then when you try and straighten it, it's a mission. And also for Instagram, if you get really tight portraits, then you try and do it then in the little grid. And I'm terrible, if you look on my grid, there's somewhere they're like, do you know what I mean? They look like that, but actually when you click on it, it's the full picture. But that sort of stuff I think is, just little things like that, little details really. And not over snapping, like, because, you know what I mean? I think people that, I take a lot of photos, but they normally, I am thinking about it a bit more, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Keep on continuing shooting.
Yeah. And actually, like I say, if you've got, you know, someone sat on the fountain and you take like 60 photos of them sat on the fountain and they just have a slight movement, you know from the first picture that it's maybe not the best photo you've taken, do you know what I mean? So then you think, why am I taking 60 more of them? I don't know. And then that fits into it. So that's what I would say the biggest thing is. I think it's just framing, like making sure you're thinking about your depth of field, and then giving communication to people and actually talking to people about it instead of just assuming that they are going to do it for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know that's nerve-wracking, and it's hard, and it comes to a time because the more people you meet and the more you do it. Do you know what I mean? Because like for me now, like here, I don't care who's around. I'll just do a photo shoot. Whereas obviously when you first come somewhere, you'll be thinking, oh, there's like, you know, I don't know. And that's another thing maybe. So like I don't know about yourself, but you might, if you had like a random model with you, you might walk into this park and it might be rammed. So then your first thought probably is like if you're doing amateur stuff, is thinking I'm going to try and find somewhere really quiet because it's easier for me to like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's less awkward for her and less awkward for and whatever, or less awkward for him or whatever.
Everybody's looking and
yeah.
stuff.
But actually, really, the only person you're trying to make it less awkward for is probably yourself. For the person, if you start taking photos, so if you're in the middle of here and there's loads of people, if you put a model on there and you confidently take photos of them, people won't get in your way. Like people don't care. Like to actually, and then even if it's their first shoot, they might be a bit nervous, and then you say no, just look at the camera. So imagine you're like in a box kind of thing, and if you're kind of owning that box and you don't really have any issue. But I did that. I did like my first 30 shoots probably would just be like, oh, it's a bit busy here, and let's go. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we'll go down that alley because it's really quiet, and then you just got photos next to a brick wall. Do you know what I mean? Whereas actually, like, you know, if you want to use these flowers, then you need to kind of sometimes own that and say, well, I'm going to do it, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've got a really bolshy model, like, as a person I work with, I've done quite a few shoots with. I don't know whether I should say her name or not, but she's amazing. And you can look on my Instagram. There's a skate park thing we did, and same thing. We walked in, loads of like there's people skating and BMXing and stuff. And
Is it Aga?
Yeah. She was really, and she's so. I was like, oh, I'll let them do their thing and we'll use it in a bit, kind of thing. But she literally was just like, do you know what I mean? She's like, oh, we need to use this section, so you need to go. And they're like, oh, and they, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How mad's that? You go, fair enough. But she and someone like that, if they'll do that for you, that's amazing. But you've got to think, especially if you're being paid for stuff, then you need to like, obviously.
That was paid shoot?
Not with Agatha, no. So I've shot with her a couple of times now. But she's just really, really good. Like, she's really
not
cool.
like a professional model then?
No, she is working on it, I think.
Yeah?
She's yeah. But do you know her personally?
Yeah, I've been working with her in KFC.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm working with her in Moscow Hospital.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, she's really cool.
Good.
She'll probably do a shoot with you though, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, she's really cool, and she's got such a good. The thing is, for someone like her, she's really prepared all the time, and she's really on it. And so, like the skate park, that's her. She's like, I want to get photos in a skate park with a little pink skateboard, and you're really like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, that's really good because obviously, you don't always have that creativity. I don't think. I don't, as in, especially like today, like I'm just quite, you get tired and you don't really think about where to go. You know what I mean? All right, that sounds good.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Liam.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll be good.
So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for my channel and for Liam's channel if you liked it. And see you in the next video. Bye guys.